Hello students, today in our video we have taken a beautiful poem titled Written in March. This poem has been written by William Wordsworth. He was born on 7th of April 1770. He belonged to a family of landowners, and from his childhood he loved the simple country life and the beauty of the area where he lived. William Wordsworth is also popular as a nature poet because his poetry revolves around nature. Before I begin with the explanation of the poem, I will want you all to take a pen in your hand and keep making notes as and when required. Let me first introduce you to the figures of speech. As per the definition, a figure of speech is a departure from the ordinary form of expression to produce a better effect. It can be a special repetition, arrangement, or omission of words with literal meaning or phrase with specialized meaning. I repeat, figure of speech is a departure from the ordinary form of expression to produce a better effect. It can be a special repetition, arrangement, or omission of words with literal meaning or phrase with specialized meaning. Now let us look into its explanation. The definition simply states that figure of speech is the way of apparently changing the words for expression to create effect. I repeat, figures of speech is the way of apparently changing the words or expression to create effect. Now let us look into its different types. First, let us learn about simile. Simile is a figure of speech. So where are we using it? See, it is a figure of speech comparing two unlike things, often introduced with the words like or as. I repeat, it is a figure of speech comparing two unlike things, often introduced with the word like or as. For example, he fights like a lion. Then she swims as fast as a fish. Next, metaphor. What is a metaphor? It is also a figure of speech. Okay? It is a figure of speech where we directly compare seemingly unrelated subjects. I repeat, metaphor is a figure of speech where we directly compare seemingly unrelated subjects. For example, all the world's stage. Next comes alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of initial sounds in neighboring words. It draws attention to the phrase and is often used for emphasis, to give importance. I repeat, alliteration, it is the repetition of initial sounds in neighboring words. It draws attention to the phrase and is often used for emphasis. Example, sweet smell of success or bigger and better. Now we will learn about hyperbole. This device is the use of exaggeration. It may be used to evoke strong feelings or to create strong impression, but it is not meant to be taken literally. I repeat, hyperbole, this device is the use of exaggeration. It may be used to evoke strong feelings or to create strong impression, but it is not meant to be taken literally. For example, she is older than the hills. Now we will learn about oxymoron. Oxymoron is a figure of speech that combines contradictory terms. I repeat, oxymoron is a figure of speech that combines contradictory terms. For example, dark light, living dead, etc. Now we will learn about personification. Personification, in this, this is an example of figure of speech Okay, and what happens here is, in this figure of speech, human characteristics are attributed to an abstract quality, animal or inanimate object. I repeat, personification is a figure of speech. Okay, and here what are we doing? We are characterizing the inanimate, the animals, we are personifying them. In this figure of speech, human characters are attributed to an abstract quality, animal or inanimate object. For example, the wind howled in the night. Can the wind howl? Can the wind howl? It cannot howl, but we are personifying the wind here. This is called personification. Next is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia, it is also an example of figure of speech. See, it is a word that actually looks like a sound it makes, and we can almost hear those sounds as we read. What did I say? It is a word that actually looks like a sound it makes, and we can almost hear the sounds as we read. For example, water plops into. Now, let us learn about archaic words. The poem that we are going to study today, that is written in March, has a few archaic words. What are these archaic words? Archaic means something that is very old or old-fashioned. So, archaic words are the words that are very old and are no more in use. I repeat, archaic words are the words that are very old and are no more in use. The poem that we will be learning today, written in March, have 3 archaic words. What are they? Doth, which in olden days was used in place of do and does. Next is hath. In olden days it was used in place of has and have. Another one is anon, which was used previously in place of very shortly or quickly. Now let us focus into the poem. See, the poem written in March brings out the essence in nature and shows how the human life is affected with the withdrawal of winter and commencement of spring. In the title itself, the word March shows that March is the time of gradual, that is slow change, where spring takes over and the last snow melts away. For better understanding of the poem, I have divided the poem into 2 parts, 10 lines each. Now let us concentrate what the poem is saying. Okay, the first 10 lines, as it says, the cock is crowing, the stream is flowing, the small birds twitter, the lake doth glitter. The green field sleeps in the sun, the oldest and youngest are at work with the strongest. The cattle are grazing, their heads never raising. There are 40 feeding like one. Now let us look into its explanation. So we see the day begins with the sound of cock, and the crowing of the cock indicates the rise of a new day. At the same time, the poet wants the readers to visualize the flowing stream, chirping, the birds chirping around. The sun that moves above the lake makes it glitter. Makes it glitter means it is making it shine. So, as the sun rays falls on the lake appears to be shining. Young and old people are found moving for work. The cattle are busy grazing. They are grazing with such that they are so much concentrated. They are concentrating so much on grazing that they are not even raising their head. And because of this, all the 40 cattle appear to be one cattle. The last line saying there are 40 feeding like one. So, see, these lines showcase the routine of a countryside and draws a vivid picture. It also adds emotion and feelings to the beauty of the nature. Now we'll come to the next 10 lines. The next 10 lines says, like an army defeated, the snow hath retreated, and now doth fare ill on the top of the bare hill. The ploughboy is whooping anon, 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 anon. Remember? Archaic word. See? The ploughboy is whooping anon, anon. There's joy in the mountains. There's life in the fountains. Small clouds are sailing, blue sky prevailing. The rain is over and gone. Now let us come to its explanation. See, the poet has used a literary device. What is that? That is a simile. You know about a simile by now because you are aware of the figures of speech. What is a simile? Simile is used to compare two things. The poet used the word like in this line and compares snow to a defeated army that retreats, means moves back. So when an army is defeated, it moves back. So as the spring takes over the earth, snow begins to disappear. Without the snow, the hill is bare, as there is no vegetation. Soon it will be greenery and with flowers, and the springtime begins. Next we see that the poet has described a ploughboy is happy to see the change in season. He jumps around with joy. The mountains and fountains all seem to come to life. Why? Because the nature has turned colorful, beautiful. So everybody is happy. So the mountains and fountains all seem to come to life, and spring takes over the harsh winter days. The sky is clear and blue with small clouds moving. The harsh times are all over and gone. So, in these lines, we see nature's reaction to the positive changes. And it is beautiful. With this, I come to the end of the explanation of our today. Now, we'll discuss the question answers. It is okay if you don't have a book. You need not. I have attached the questions. You can see it on the other screen. Please take a copy, a pen in your hand, and keep noting, keep taking the running notes. You'll be requiring it later on. I'll start with the first question. See, which season is described by the poet in this poem? What changes take place in nature at the beginning of this season? I repeat, which season is described by the poet in this poem? What changes take place in nature at the beginning of this season? We know it is the spring season that the poet is trying to say us. So which season is described by the poet in this poem? It is the spring season that is described by the poet in this poem. Next part of the question, what changes take place in nature at the beginning of this season? The poet gives us the arrival of spring in a moving way. Now you will be adding those lines. The first, you'll get it from the first 10 lines, that the cock is crowing, the stream is flowing, the birds are twittering, you can hear their chirping. The explanation that I have said, you'll be attaching that part of it to your answer to this question. Next we come to this. What is meant by saying that the green field sleeps? I repeat, what is meant by saying that the green field sleeps? There it means there is no harvesting going on. So there you will find an expression of personification in this line. Okay, so the answer that you will write here is, the meaning of the green field sleep is there is no harvesting going on. We come to the next question. Quote the lines in the poem containing a striking simile and explain it. By now you are well aware of the figure of speech. You are well aware of what a simile is. I'll share the answer with you all. There are 40 feeding like one. There are 40 feeding like one. It is a striking simile because the comparison is explicit with the use of like. Now we come to the next question. Why do the cattle not raise their heads while they are grazing? I repeat, why do the cattle not raise their heads while they are grazing? The answer to this: the cattle are fully satisfied with large number of grasses together to be swallowed. So they are so preoccupied with this that they don't have time to lift their head. Okay, so the cattle are fully satisfied with the large number of grasses together to be swallowed. This is the reason why the cattle are not raising their head, because they are preoccupied with the grass that they have to eat. Next question. Which words suggest the sound of the plowboy's shout? I repeat, which words suggest the sound of the plowboy's shout? You know it, the word is anon anon. It is a archaic word, and as I have mentioned, it was in the olden times, it was used in place of very sharply or quickly. So the word anon anon is the sound of the plowboy's shout. The anon anon is the sound of the plowboy's shout, indicating his delight at the commencement of spring. So he is very excited on seeing the beautiful nature with the commencement of spring. So he is shouting anon anon. Now next we come to the explanation. See, first one is there are 40 feeding like one. I have explained you a lot of times. I want you to do it by your own. What will you write? You will write that the cattle are all preoccupied. They are busy. They have a large number of grasses that are to be swallowed. So they are concentrating on that, and they have no time to lift up their head. And just because all are concentrating, looking down, all the heads seem to be one. So 40 feeding like one. Next, there's life in the fountain. You have to explain this. What is it? There's life in the fountain. It means the fountains are all sharply or speedily flowing on. So how will you explain? There's life in the fountain. The fountains are all sharply or speedily flowing on. Now we come to the last question. Blue sky prevailing. What does the expression mean? Blue sky prevailing? It means the sky is free from cloud, and naturally this indicates the sky in spring. It means the sky is free from cloud, and naturally that indicates the sky in spring.